whomever who's having such success and everyone's seeing it and people are like, where's mine? And it's cliche, but your success will be yours. You don't know when it's going to happen, and everyone's talent in what you're rendering and creating through art is different. And so how people receive it and put it on a larger platform, it takes time because people need to get to it.
Artists that I know that don't have senses of humor are really interesting people. I think humor as a coping mechanism, which I'm not going to pretend like I don't also use. But then there's humor as like a lens in which to see the world. Nothing means one thing. Everything can mean multiple meanings. Every life, this existence, this thing that we're doing in just being a human and having flesh and senses and shit is absurd, right? We live short lives, but we have these things in our head that are terrified to die. We have this ability to storytell in our head that make us think we have control over anything. And we're really just kind of showing up to the absurdity of every day.
One thing I want to challenge us as a city is just, what do we expect from our nonprofits? And then if we're going to hold them up to a pedestal to be the servant organizations, the servant leaders we expect them to do to help the city really manage a lot of programs needed by our communities, and what are we as philanthropists and government doing to support their success? And I would say that we're not doing enough, and we're not doing enough in the right way.
Playing the role of a saxophonist, meaning being a frontman or being a person on what we call the front line. I have to be able to create opportunities for other people. I also have to be able to lead a band. I also have to be able to pay people, because what makes you a good band leader is your ability to provide for people. Also understanding what it means to be a leader, but also to be balanced and to also be empathetic. What's beautiful is in all music, there is soloing and stuff and improvisation, but jazz is the only one where it's literally collective improvisation. So where I'm saying something and the piano saying something back, and maybe I don't even have something to say right now, but the piano plays a chord and plays a thing or a rhythm that I can latch onto, and it gives me a new story to tell, or it adds to whatever I was missing. It also taught me a load of empathy, how to be a soloist.
I think I've had a very expanded vision of humanity because I've met so many different kinds of people. I've experienced a lot of crazy stuff in my life, a lot of beautiful things in my life too. And because of that, it's just shown me, like, you never have it figured out. You never have it figured out. And the curiosity has been the only thing that's got me through some of the toughest times I've ever been in. Always realizing there's more. This isn't it. There's a new opportunity. You can feel like crap one day. You can feel like the world is about to end. And literally within a second, something can come through and change your entire outlook on life.
For me, continuing the things that are my staples, performing in town, out of town, trying to get as much touring as possible. I'll be in Spain at a performing arts conference, trying to establish more opportunity for my work in Europe and abroad. But I think that doing this Baltimore by Baltimore really had me thinking, yeah, maybe there could be some more opportunities to be kind of a curator and a presenter as well. And I've done that in ways at venues over the years. Just the past year, I had a venue down on Redwood Street called Werner's Diner. And they did music for a year, and I was curating that and having line up all the different musicians and different places where I've done that. So it's fun because it's not just being an artist clawing and fighting your way for opportunity, but giving opportunity to fellow artists, which is that community building and that relationship nurturing and working with people, meeting new people as well too.
It's so important to have that creative outlet, right? I mean, so many of us get up every day and we go to work and we crank out a spreadsheet, or we produce a report, or we do all these kind of things, and you go to work, you have your family and you work with them and you do things with them, you do all this different stuff. But having that creative outlet, I think it's so important. And everybody's capable in some way of doing it, whether it's poetry or baking or knitting or whatever it is, creating something, it feeds the soul.
I think I understand why sometimes artists online can be very proprietary, I guess I would say. But as somebody who has benefited so much from like the kindness and openness of my idols and art strangers, I always try and be equally open. The thing is, like, the beauty, especially when things are like going well, the beauty of being a freelance illustrator is that all the different ways that you connect with people, you connect with projects, and in ways that you could never, ever set out to draw a line between. And I think that's wonderful. And I don't want to be an end point in someone's sort of like connective journey. I would like to continue.
Despite the existence of art schools and all these degree programs, there's no way to dictate how to create like a sustainable model for pursuing creativity and as a professional career. And of course, there's guidelines and stuff you could do, but at the end of the day, there is a lot of luck involved. And then, of course, just having the right connections and just really being into doing the work. And I just know that there was a point where I can't imagine myself doing a job that didn't involve like drawing in some way. And I'm very fortunate that I've been able to do that, even though, I mean, for years, the precarity of freelancing was so stressful that I was like, I'm going to have to just get regular full-time job. But I don't know, at this point, I guess I try to ignore that voice about, okay, if it's been like a slow few weeks or something. But at the end of the day, I know that being able to support myself through drawing, which is the ultimate creative satisfaction and sort of life-affirming practice for me, that's the most important thing.
It helped that Matt and I both own creative businesses. So that's kind of helped us with the books. It's also a business at the end of the day. But collaboratively speaking, I think it was our first book we did where Matt sent me like the illustration of the house and I text him an edit. And as soon as I text the edit, he had already sent me the edit.
I know, kind of in sync in that creative sense. Yeah, I think we do definitely, though. Brant is more, I think we just have different ways of approaching this creative and collaborating. So one of us is good at one thing, the other is good at the other. Like when we're laying out a story, we usually do it on like a big marker board or something. I'm usually thinking in terms of like the visuals because that's what I'm doing for the book. And that's kind of how I see it when I'm reading. But Brant is coming up with storylines and I'm like, how are you thinking of this right now? And I don't know. I think it works really well together that we're both good at different things.
We need artists, and this will sound weird to say it this way, but we need artists to be bad at business. We need them to operate in the way that they do. And what I mean by that is to be good at business, you have to be a concrete sequential thinker, again, to use language that's oftentimes used in describing personalities. And you've got to see time in this linear fashion so that you can plan and allocate resources appropriately. That's a lot of what good business is about. And that's very different than being an abstract and in the moment type of person, which is what we need for artists. We need artists to feel things, to see things and perceive in a way that can only happen if you're in the moment. And to expand upon that through a medium that requires incredibly abstract thinking